Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more of like a walk and talk commentary style video. You saw the title, so I think I'll just get into it. I have hosted a lot of servers for people. I kind of know how to do it, and I have a computer that I can use to like set them up really quickly and easily. And so a lot of the time I'll get some friends that come up and talk to me, and they're like, "Hey, I want to set up a Minecraft server," and for like me and my other friends, and I'm like, okay, here you go. And then I see them playing on it for a little while, and I see the 2 week Minecraft phase come and go. And recently, after I finished my create mod pack SMP thing, and it went for more than 2 weeks, I think I have some thoughts about why the 2 week Minecraft phase happens. So I think what goes wrong in most Minecraft servers, they have they do their progression. They get the iron, they get the diamonds, they go to the nether, they go to the end, they kill the ender dragon, they get the elytra, they go through all that, and then shortly afterwards the server dies. Which, I mean, it kind of makes sense because that's the end of the game's progression. And I think what's going on is they're like relying on the progression too much. When they're just relying on progression or a motivation to play the game, and then there's no more progression, they don't know what to do. They have no reason to come back to the game, right? So it makes, like, of course the 2 week Minecraft phase is a thing. It only takes 2 weeks to beat the game, you know? But I think in order to overcome it, Minecraft is a game entirely about being creative. And that doesn't really just mean building. That also means choosing what you do in the game, you know? A post-edit read here. I want to put more emphasis on the fact that Minecraft is a game that will not tell you what to do. You have to come up with that on your own. And I just think I didn't stress it enough in my commentary. But yeah, I see a lot of the 2 week Minecraft phase videos on YouTube. But all of them say you need to like slow down and take the game slower. But I think they say this without actually understanding the reason why it works. And the reason it works is because it forces you to try to, you know, think outside the box and try to come up with projects that keep the game entertaining. And by forcing yourself to slow down, you kind of just end up having to do that naturally, and you kind of gain the skill of how to manage the projects on your own. They tell you that you should slow down, but they don't tell you why, and I think that's why. Being good at being creative is a skill, right? So a lot of times what will happen is people get through the progression of the game. They have all the tools and all the materials to be able to build whatever they want. So they pick a project that's like biting off way more than they can chew, you know? And then it always falls through because they don't know what projects they're like doing, how big of projects they're capable of being able to do. They just haven't learned how they like to play the game yet, right? So I think by slowing down, you're kind of like second-handedly, as a byproduct of slowing down, forcing yourself to do smaller projects with smaller tools, in a lower state of progression, and therefore you naturally get skills in learning how to be creative. But none of the other videos talk about why that's the case. Like, they just say slow down, but they don't say why it works. So maybe slowing down isn't necessarily the right thing to do. I think you need to be able to give yourself the opportunity to learn how to choose projects that you think are fulfilling. And some people will be like naturally better at this skill, and that's why like some players like in an SMP will be able to go on a lot longer than the 2 weeks just naturally, just because they like have a natural talent for being able to choose stuff to do in the game, stuff like that. But yeah, you wouldn't know that unless you understand that it's an entirely different skill set of being able to play this game, right? Next, when it comes to like, if you are the server owner and you want to keep your server from dying, there's a couple of important things I think you need to know about leadership. So I've come up with a couple of things. Some stuff you can do like before the server begins, some stuff is like during the life of the server, and some stuff is like after it ends. So I'll start with before your server starts. A lot of times, I've never played D&D before, but what I've heard from some DM friends that I have that I think is a really good piece of advice. If they're a good DM, they'll conduct what they call like a session 0, which is like just trying to figure out what everybody wants from the experience of playing D&D, right? So like if you have like one group of people who wants to be like super technical and get into the nitty-gritty details of the combat and all that stuff, and then you have another group of people who just kind of wants to like role play and have some fun, you're gonna end up having a big conflict in the group, and it's gonna not turn out very well. So it's good to have a session 0 to like get everybody on the same page about what you all want collectively the gameplay experience to be like. And so this would be like the Minecraft equivalent would be like deciding like which mod packs you want to play, like if you want to have like a plot world kind of feel, like you want to designate where each people or each person is going to be building, stuff like that. So you're gonna have like some people who want to play the game in one particular way, and some people who want to play the game in another particular way, and you got to be able to balance that and find something that's good for everybody, right? Then, while the server is like currently ongoing, there's a couple of things that I think are good to keep in mind. If you have decisions that you need to make, like if something went wrong with like some of the groups of people or something, or there's like an issue with a particular mod that caused some stuff to not work, or like if somebody wants to add a particular mod to the mod pack, it's good to have a form of opposition to your decision-making process, because if there's not, what can end up happening is there might have been something that you didn't know about that ends up causing more issues than if you had known about it in the first place, right? So like, for example, say somebody wants to like include a particular mod to the server, and you're like, okay, that sounds cool, that seems like a cool mod, but there's somebody else who has played with that mod before and knows that when it comes to compatibility with this other mod that you have installed, it causes a lot of issues and usually makes the game worse off for everybody. So in a case like that, it's good to make sure that you have that opposition, right? Like assigning somebody whose job it is to like ensure that there's always a dissenting opinion, right? Then after the server ends, because you know it's not going to last forever, right? There's always going to be a limit to the Minecraft phase, right? There's always going to be a time when the server is like, okay, we're kind of satisfied. It's good to understand what went well with the server and what didn't. If you don't understand why something went well or why something didn't go well, if that situation comes up again, and the variable that was in place that made that particular thing go well is no longer there, like of course you're gonna run into issues, right? So it's important to understand what went well and why it went well, right? Izumavoid has a really good like video series about how he runs Hermitcraft and what his role is as a leader in their whole operation, and it's a really good watch. But I think one important thing is to realize is that they're all like career YouTubers, right? When they make leadership decisions on how they want stuff to work in their servers, those people have very different motivations for coming on every day and playing the game, right? If you go into it thinking that you're gonna have a Hermitcraft style experience, you probably are gonna set up your server for failure, because the Hermitcraft people have a much different motivation for playing in the first place, or like on any SMP, right? Like the sleep deprived multiplayer server, for example. They have a much different incentive for playing that is a lot less like self-generated. So keeping things like that in mind is not a bad idea. And then I also think it's important to, when you're playing on the server, to lead by example, right? Which sounds kind of obvious, but if you know how the game works and that it's more about progression and you got to be creative about the projects that you choose. If you're the owner of the server, you can choose projects that include other people, right? So that they can get a feel for which kinds of projects work and which don't, right? So this could be anything from like your own personal projects, say you want to like build a road or something, or like the mini games, anything that like brings the server together, right? Having like good ideas for projects that can be used as an example for the other members of the server. If you're able to do that, that's like just generally a good skill to be able to showcase to the other server members, right? And they can follow in your footsteps, and the subtlety of how this game is not supposed to be focused on progression will be a little bit more obvious, right? But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. I'm really missing the chipped mod already. I might just install that again. Yeah, so I'll probably keep working on some other projects. Not really sure what it's going to be yet. I might go back to doing more like 5-minute Minecraft stuff, or maybe some Valheim. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts after the previous SMP because I thought it needed to be heard, right? So yeah, if you have any like experiences or anything like that, like of your 2-week Minecraft phase, or like maybe you have some insights that I didn't cover or anything like that, if you could leave a comment, that would be fantastic, because I would love to hear other people's experiences. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I still have no outro.